In the post-9/11 era, drawing on Hudson tradition, we have assembled the most talented team of researchers in the world, focusing on the ideological character of Islamic radicalism. We help national and international leaders understand the threat of radical Islam and terrorism and how it can be countered. Our scholars work to promote freedom and human rights, especially in the face of religious persecution.
पाकिस्तान और अमेरिका के ताल्लुकात की तारीख बहुत से ड्रामाई उतार चढ़ाव से पुर है। ताहम उसामा बिन लादेन की पाकिस्तानी सरजमीन पर मौजूदगी का राज खुलने के बाद से ये ताल्लुकात एक नए चैलेंज से दोचार हो गए हैं।
The U.S. needs answers from Pakistan on how bin Laden could have remained in this compound for 6 years.
जनूबी एशिया के उमूर की तज्जियाकार लीजा कर्टिस जिस सवाल के लिए पाकिस्तान के अमरीका को जवाबदेह ठहराने का जिक्र कर रही हैं, ये सवाल अमरीकी ही नहीं, पाकिस्तानियों के जहनों और जबानों पर भी आम है।
What a wonderful opportunity.
कई तज्जियाकार कह चुके हैं कि ये सिविलियन ताकतों के लिए किस कदर अहम मौका है कि वो 1971 में मशरिकी पाकिस्तान की अलहदगी के वाक़े के बाद जुल्फ़िकार अली भुट्टो जैसी कारकर्दगी दिखा सकें।
अमरीकी दारुल-हुकूमत वाशिंगटन डीसी के एक थिंक टैंक हसन इंस्टीट्यूट में जमा होने वाले माहिरीन के इस पैनल की राय में मौजूदा हालात पाकिस्तान की सियासी क़यादत के लिए एक मौका फराहम करते हैं कि वो गैर सियासी ताकतों के असर से अलग होकर अपने दाखिली मसाइल और बैनुल-अक़वामी ताल्लुकात की उलझनों में कमी लाने के लिए जुर्रतमंदाना किरदार अदा करें। ताहम लीसा कर्टिस इस मौक़िफ़ को जरूरत से ज्यादा अहमियत नहीं देना चाहती।
मेरे ख्याल में ऐसा मुमकिन नहीं। फौज अब भी पाकिस्तान में बहुत बाइख्तियार है और अगर सियासी क़यादत फौज पर दबाव बढ़ाने की कोशिश करेगी तो इससे सूरत हाल मजीद गैर मुस्तहकम भी हो सकती है। मेरी राय में ये वक्त है कि फौज और हुकूमत जंगजुओं और उनके नजरिए के खिलाफ मुत्तहिद हों और उन्हें एक मुत्तफ़क़ा पैगाम दें।
The international community's attitude towards Pakistan historically needs to be studied. The international community has always looked upon Pakistan's professionals, technocrats and the military as its allies for modernization of Pakistan, not the politicians. Now politicians everywhere are messy, by the way. I mean, we are watching the primary process here and all you have to do is watch a couple of debates to understand all politics is not only local, all politics is local and messy. However, the notion in this town, and I've been doing a lot of thinking, especially since the assassination of Benazir Bhutto, why she had so much difficulty in Washington, where still people won't forgive her. The people of Pakistan were willing to vote for her. And they will probably vote for her husband after she's been assassinated. But the people in Washington, boy, they are not going to change because they are looking at it as a bureaucratic management problem rather than a political issue in which politics is about sentiments. People were asked in the 2004 election, who do you think is smarter? The person they thought smarter is not the person that they wanted to vote for. People wanted to vote for the guy they thought they would like to have a beer with. Isn't that true? If it can happen here, why is it different for Pakistan and Bangladesh? People have the right to vote for people whom we may not find fitting some special, specific, technocratic and bureaucratic checklist. People feel something. That's why they vote for them. And I think that the tendency of the international community to ignore the politics of countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh in favor of managerial solutions to the countries creates a major problem. Let me just say a few words about the war against terror and what Pakistan's role in that would be. I already mentioned the parliamentary resolution. It's important to understand that after 9/11, General Musharraf took the view that the United States was going to attack Afghanistan and remove the Taliban from power. And you've all heard the famous phrase that when he was asked, "Are you with us or against us?" he decided to be with the US. It created a serious problem. The problem was that the people of Pakistan continued to be confused. Is this our war? Or are we fighting America's war? And as resentment built up, and it was not just in Pakistan, but in other parts of the Muslim world as well, about US foreign policy, and I'm not getting into whether that resentment is justified or not, a lot of people in Pakistan were not clear about the war objectives. You can't win a war unless the people are clear about what they are fighting for. The elected government, beginning with Prime Minister Gilani as soon as he was elected on the 24th of March, and then President Zardari when he was elected on the 6th of September, and now with the unanimous resolution of the joint session of Parliament, has made it clear that the war against terror is Pakistan's own war. Pakistan wants to fight terrorism to eliminate it, not to calibrate it. Pakistan wants to eliminate terrorism because terrorism is a threat to Pakistanis. More than 1,000 Pakistanis have been killed in the last 1 year in suicide bombings, including Benazir Bhutto, who was much beloved amongst Pakistanis. So there is a realization. Now, there is a minority in Pakistan, and of course, it's the old principle of journalism. 200 people shouting slogans and burning a flag are a much more photogenic scene for cable television than 200 people sitting like this and having a discussion about how not to be extremist or hardline. So the images that are portrayed to you from Pakistan are always that of the hardline, but it's a minority in Pakistan that are hardliners. It's a minority in Pakistan that support militancy and that have been sympathetic to the extremist groups.
You can't fundamentally understand a problem unless you bring a very diverse range of perspectives to it.
One of the scenarios that seems to get a lot of buy-in at this point is that with all its troubles and all its crises, Pakistan, at the end of the day, will probably just muddle along and muddle through this. There'll be other cycles of civilian military strife and so forth, but there are these other areas of strength that'll help keep it going, and the military ultimately will provide a steadying hand. Could you give a sense of, Manaz, what you think, at this point, given all these things we've just discussed, how you think that, what scenario seems most likely?
I think Pakistan has always muddled along. I think that is probably a safe scenario to point towards. I would say that the biggest challenge to Pakistan being able to continue to muddle along, there are two. One is more immediate and one is more existential. The existential challenge is how much longer Pakistanis as a society and Pakistan as a state can muddle through the question of who is a Pakistani and who is a Muslim. I think the time is going fast where Pakistan can continue to muddle through with muddled answers on those questions. And those will be the critical questions that Pakistan will have to answer in a variety of arenas, whether it's in the arena of the war in Afghanistan, whether it's in the sectarian crises that threaten its internal cohesion, whether it's in the relationships between the provinces, where you have one province which dominates the others, and whether there is consensus on who is a Muslim in Pakistan, because there has never been a consensus on that, and Pakistan was the world's first Muslim state, Islamic Republic.
A moderate state is a scenario in which Pakistan pursues some gradual improvements in the quality of its governance, in its opening to the world, in its relationship with India, and finds a stable or more effective balance between civilians and military in charge of the country. It's a country where you'll see economic growth and gradual move for many Pakistanis out of poverty and into something that looks more like a middle-class, sustainable economic future.
The likeliest scenario for Pakistan, in my opinion, is that it has hit the bottom and will now begin to improve in terms of its economic situation, in terms of developing a viable political structure, and in terms of improving human resource to an extent where it becomes more attracted towards participating in the economy rather than picking up arms on behalf of extremists. I would argue that as a part of this scenario, Pakistan probably also has seen peaking of the rise of extremism, and eventually it's being reduced to just a nuisance rather than a major security threat.
A moderate Pakistan emerging is certainly the most hopeful, and in fact today is the most conceivable in some respects. I think that there's tremendous interest on the part of India to see that happen, on the part of the United States to see that happen, on the part of China to see that happen.
Pakistan today has roughly a 30 million strong middle class with per capita income on a PPP basis of $10,000 a year, which is a fairly substantial amount of wealth which can be mustered to create a political movement, to create economic movements inside Pakistan for the better.
The challenge is that the quality of the education in Pakistan, the economic opportunities that are not available to many average Pakistanis, and the institutions of state don't give you a lot of confidence that the country will find a way to move towards moderation. In fact, many of the groups that are on the rise in Pakistan are preaching and educating a version of an understanding of the world that is anything but moderate.
Without some very serious external pressure, I don't really see Pakistan taking on that trajectory, because the internal ability to do so is so constrained by the army and the army's image of what Pakistan's key interests are. So I'm not optimistic about that outcome at all.
I am sad to say that I don't see those components which can push Pakistan in the direction of this modern, progressive, democratic state in immediate future. Pakistan will have to go through a long process of 10 to 15 years of stability, economic growth, and a change in mindset in the establishment about their view about India. Without a friendly, peaceful relationship with India, Pakistan cannot even dream about such a scenario.
I think there are various things that the United States can and should do to move Pakistan in a different direction. One is to give even greater importance to the social and educational problems that the country faces. Another is to indicate our preference for a civilian-ruled government. And another would be to encourage better India-Pakistan relations.